Today I played the Java edition of Minecraft for the first time in years and had a very weird experience. If you go into settings and enable historical versions and then go to the installations tab, you can pretty much boot up any version of Minecraft ever created. Now, the vast majority of these are snapshots that no one cares about, but if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you can even find some pre-classic versions of Minecraft. What's crazy about this is that if you're unfamiliar with the term pre-classic, it's the first prototypes of Minecraft that were made in the first week of development. And although most pre-classic versions are completely lost now, the oldest version available on the launcher was created 2 days into its development. This version is called RD132211. Great name, Marcus. Okay, that was just a joke. I don't blame him for not naming every single version of the game. Most of the pre-classic versions have RD in their names. RD is short for Ruby Dung, another game that Notch was making that he used as the code base for Minecraft. So, out of curiosity, I just looked on the launcher and decided to play the oldest version of Minecraft that I could find. I unfortunately wasn't recording my first time playing because I wasn't planning on making a video. I didn't really do anything except figure out the controls and build a tower to mark my location, which you'll see in the video. So this is what it looks like. I apologize for the footage looking like this. I couldn't full screen it, and I accidentally recorded my entire screen. Also, yes, as you can probably tell, I am playing with a MacBook. Don't judge me too much for it. So, first impressions, if you'll notice at the very top of the screen, the game is just called Game. Now, Minecraft's working title at the very early stages was Cave Game. According to the wiki, this is just something that the launcher does. All of the pre-classic versions are just called Game for some reason. To be honest, the title just being Game is the cherry on top of all of the other weird stuff in this version. Okay, so first off, when you spawn in, you fall down to the ground. I was actually a little freaked out by that at first, but then I realized there was no health bar, so I didn't have to worry about fall damage. At the same time, I noticed that there was no anything. There's no health bar, no inventory, there's not even a cursor. There is no UI whatsoever. The screen is completely blank except for the world itself. As you can see, Notch was very inspired by Kansas for this version, which is to say that it's a flat plane of grass with absolutely no detail whatsoever. To add to the feeling of isolation and loneliness, there is no sound in this version. Forget the backrooms, RD132211 is the only liminal space I care about. Why didn't Squidward come here when he wanted to be alone? If you walk in one direction for long enough, don't worry, walking's still normal. You'll end up at the world border, except not really, because you can walk past it and fall into the void. The first thing I did in my second time playing was to build stairs on my tower I'd built before to get a better view. Building and destroying blocks is done by left-clicking and right-clicking, respectively. Or if you're a Mac user like me, single-clicking and double-clicking. There are only two kinds of blocks, grass and cobblestone. Instead of choosing which block you use, it's decided by the Y level where you place it. If you place a block above or below ground level, then it'll be cobblestone. Whereas the floor, and only the floor, is made entirely of grass. If you break it and build it again, it'll come back as grass. This is cool, but it also freaks me out. The cobblestone looks fine, it's just kinda dark, but the grass is the same texture on all sides, which is really freaky. The build limit is only 20 blocks above the ground, and the ground goes down another 44 blocks, which is a number that makes me very uncomfortable. When I first went down the tunnel I made and counted the blocks, I thought I had miscounted. Unless I miscounted again, which is very possible. This means that there are 64 Y-coordinates where you can build. The entire map is 256 by 256 by 64. Another thing that weirds me out a little is that the shadows are all the same level of darkness. A block that's 50 spaces above you will cast as much shadow as a block that's 1 space above you, which is really off-putting. Easily the weirdest thing about this entire version is that you can build on the blocks you're standing. If you put a block where your head is, you can actually see into the blocks next to it. This is actually really cool because it reveals that only the outside textures of blocks are loaded in at any given time. That makes a lot of sense because I would imagine this would run like molasses if it had to load in every surface of every single block. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's the reason why there's an entire screen of sand whenever you suffocate in the modern game. In the modern game, if they let you do this, it would be a really useful exploit that would let you find caves. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention that in this version, you apparently play as an Enderman. If you hit the R key, then you'll respawn at a random location on the map. This lets you effectively teleport, although you can't control it at all. There's also no cooldown on the R key, meaning that if you hold it down, you can do this. At this point, I had done pretty much everything I had wanted to do, so the only thing left was to jump into the void. Because there was no health bar, I had absolutely no idea what would happen here. Luckily, I was not disappointed. Instead of dying like you would normally, you just keep falling. Forever. And ever. And ever. And as you fall, the cobblestone will make these really trippy patterns. As you keep falling and falling, you come to realize that the entire world you were standing on a few seconds ago was just a platform in nowhere. There is absolutely nothing else here. You just sort of realize that you're going to keep falling forever because there's nothing there to stop you. I've actually had dreams like this in real life, and they were really weird. But yeah, it just keeps going. Can you imagine how funny it would be if you went to the end and you got knocked off the islands by the Ender Dragon, and instead of dying like normal, you just kept falling forever? Getting soft-locked until the end of time, having forever to think about how stupid it was for you to fall? Actually, no, that wouldn't be funny. That would suck. Forget I said that. Anyway, after a while, the platform will finally disappear, except not really. If you look off to the side, you can actually see it again. You only lose your vision of it if you keep looking straight up. After a while, though, it gets harder and harder to look at, and you do end up completely losing it. Now, normally I would just quit, but lucky for us, we have that R key, so none of this matters. I'm perfectly fine. After respawning back on the platform, there are only two more things I wanted to do. First was to make a high dive into the void off of my tower. I unfortunately couldn't overhang it because, as I forgot to mention, you can't build over the sideways limit. Anyway, after that I jumped, I got a nice view of the world as I went back into the void, and I built a little house. A dark, dreary house with no windows and no light source. Just cobble and grass. It's very simple, and it's not that great, but it has charm. And I feel like that makes it the perfect house for this version. Is this a good version of Minecraft? Oh, absolutely not. But it's a very charming and interesting look into the very early history of a game I love. This whole experience kind of made me feel like an archaeologist. I knew as soon as I played the first 5 minutes of this that I had to make a video on it, just talking about it. This was such a weird experience, but it was so cool. I don't think I've ever felt something quite like the feeling I did whenever I just jumped off the side of the map. Version RD132211 is a very small and somewhat existentially concerning version of Minecraft, but I absolutely recommend booting it up if you have Java Edition. I might do this with any other weird versions of Minecraft that I see, but I doubt it. There's absolutely no way that I'm gonna find anything as weird as this. If you watch me for my NES reviews, I'm sorry for making this random Minecraft video. I'm actually planning on reviewing The Legend of Zelda next, which will probably take a very long time. Anyway, 7 out of 10, thank you for watching. Have a good day, like and subscribe. Bye!